Congratulations, you just got a 20% raise. Your boss shook your hand, handed you a piece of paper with a slightly larger number on it. And for a brief, glorious moment, you felt like a financial genius. You did the math in your head. A 20% increase in income means a 20% increase in savings, right? Perhaps you will finally start that investment portfolio. Perhaps you will build an emergency fund. Perhaps you will stop sweating every time the cashier scans a block of cheese at the supermarket. But fast forward 6 months, you sit down to look at your bank account. You brace yourself for the visual impact of your accumulated wealth. You open the app, the screen loads, and there it is, nothing. Your balance is exactly the same as it was before the raise. In fact, if you factor in your new credit card debt, you are mathematically poorer than when you were making less money. How did this happen? You did not buy a private jet. You did not purchase a small island in the Caribbean. You did not even buy a new television. You simply fell victim to the quietest, most efficient thief in the modern financial world, lifestyle creep. Let us rewind to the day before your promotion. You were a simple creature. You woke up, you drank instant coffee that tasted faintly of burnt dirt, and you were fine. You sat on a plastic chair that slowly deformed your spine, and you accepted your fate. You took the crowded bus to work, breathing in the collective despair of 30 other commuters, and you considered it character building. Your expenses were low because your standards were perfectly calibrated to your survival. Then the money hit your account. It was not a conscious decision to ruin your financial future. It started with a whisper, a tiny insidious thought that echoed in the empty halls of your brain. I make good money now, you told yourself. I do not have to live like a broke college student anymore. And so the upgrade begins. Not with a roar, but with a drip. First, it is the coffee. The burnt dirt no longer satisfies your elevated palate. You are a professional now. You need artisanal beans, ethically sourced from a specific altitude, roasted by a man with a suspiciously well-groomed beard. Your morning caffeine intake goes from costing 10 cents a day to $6 a day. You justify it because it is an investment in your productivity. Next, it is your physical comfort. The plastic chair is suddenly a crime against your anatomy. You purchase an ergonomic office chair with a name that sounds like a medical device. It has 12 points of adjustment and costs as much as your monthly rent used to be. You sit in it. You still have back pain, but now it is premium back pain. Then comes the food. Cooking at home used to be a necessity. Now it feels like a chore beneath your pay grade. You discover the magic of food delivery apps. Why spend 45 minutes chopping vegetables when a stranger on a bicycle can bring you a mildly lukewarm burrito for only 3 times the price of its ingredients, plus the delivery fee, plus the service fee, plus the tip, plus the small order fee? You pay it all without blinking, because as you remind yourself your time is valuable, the creep continues into your digital life. You subscribe to 4 different streaming services, because one has the show you like, one has the movies you like, one you forgot to cancel after the free trial, and one you keep just in case you ever want to watch documentaries about obscure historical events. You pay for a gym membership you use to occasionally look at the weights before going to the sauna. You upgrade all your free apps to premium versions. You are bleeding money in tiny recurring increments of $9.99. And of course, it bleeds into your social life. Your friends notice you have more money. You start going to restaurants that do not have laminated menus. You order the steak instead of the chicken. You buy a round of drinks. You take a taxi instead of the subway because it is raining. And then you take a taxi when it is not raining, because walking to the station suddenly feels like an extreme sport. You decide your apartment is too small. You need more space for all the new things you are buying. You move to a nicer neighborhood. Your rent increases by 30%, but the apartment has an exposed brick wall and a large kitchen island. You do not cook, but the island looks fantastic when you place your delivered burrito on it. Throughout this entire process, you use the most dangerous spell in the English language. I work hard, so I deserve this. I deserve the premium subscription to remove the ads. I deserve the faster internet tier. I deserve the nicer shoes because I walk a lot. I deserve the organic avocados. I deserve the holiday in Europe because my job is stressful. The word deserve becomes the universal bypass code for any financial logic. It is the ultimate weapon of your ego against your bank account. Let us visualize your financial situation. Imagine a graph. The blue line is your income. It goes up in a nice, satisfying staircase pattern every time you get a promotion. The red line is your spending. In a logical world, the red line stays flat, and the gap between the blue line and the red line becomes your wealth. But in the real world, the red line is a stalker. It follows the blue line. It matches its every move. Sometimes it even anticipates the blue line and jumps ahead, fueled by credit cards and future optimism. You have fundamentally misunderstood the concept of wealth. You thought wealth was having the ability to buy expensive things, but wealth is actually the money you do not spend. Wealth is the invisible gap between your ego and your income. Right now, your gap is zero. You have successfully engineered a life where your perfectly increased income is entirely consumed by your perfectly increased tastes. You are a hamster. You have just been moved to a slightly larger cage with a shinier wheel. But you are still running, and the faster you run, the faster the wheel spins. This is the hedonic treadmill, a psychological trap where no matter how much your environment improves, your baseline of happiness stays exactly the same. The artisanal coffee does not make you happier than the instant coffee did. It simply becomes the new normal. If you are forced to drink instant coffee now, you will feel deprived. You have not bought happiness. You have only bought a more expensive baseline for misery. And then reality knocks on your door. Your car makes a noise that sounds like a dying metal beast. The mechanic looks at it, shakes his head, and gives you a piece of paper with a number on it. It is a large number. You open your banking app. You look at your premium bank account interface. You look at your zero balance. The cold sweat begins. You are making more money than you ever have in your entire life. Yet you are one minor inconvenience away from total financial ruin. You stare at the mechanic's estimate. You calculate how many artisanal coffees equate to a new transmission. The math is depressing. You are a high-earning broke person. This is the ultimate paradox of the modern worker. You have successfully climbed the corporate ladder, only to realize the ladder is resting on a floor made of quicksand. Let us analyze the psychology of this disaster in detail. Why did you do this to yourself? It is because society has programmed you to view spending as the only valid metric of success. If you get a promotion and do not immediately upgrade your car, your wardrobe, or your zip code, people assume you are either lying about the promotion or secretly funding a terrible gambling addiction. We use our spending to signal our status to other people. We want our coworkers to see our new shoes. We want our neighbors to hear the engine of our new car. But here is the tragic irony. Nobody actually cares about your shoes or your car. The people you are trying to impress are too busy trying to figure out how to pay off their own premium ergonomic chairs to notice yours. Everyone is playing a multiplayer game of financial pretend, and everyone is losing. You are stuck on the hedonic treadmill, and the speed dial is permanently broken. When you were making $30,000 a year, you thought making $50,000 would magically solve all your earthly problems. When you hit $50,000, your problems did not disappear, they just got a fresh coat of expensive paint. Now you are making $80,000, and you somehow feel poorer than ever before. The treadmill keeps accelerating. If you stumble, if you lose your job, if the macroeconomic environment decides to take a sudden nap, you will not just fall, you will be violently ejected into a brick wall of accumulated debt and fixed overhead costs. The trap is that lifestyle upgrades are incredibly sticky. They act like a financial ratchet. It is very easy to turn the dial up. It is an evolutionary joy to go from eating instant noodles to eating dry-aged steak. But try turning the dial back down. Try telling your brain, which is now fully accustomed to organic kale handcrafted lattes and high thread count sheets, that we are going back to the burnt dirt water and the scratchy blankets. Your brain will initiate a violent chemical rebellion. It will feel like a tragic loss of social status. Downgrading your lifestyle feels like a personal failure, even if it is the smartest, most mathematically sound financial decision you could possibly make. So how do you escape the creep? How do you step off a treadmill that is currently running at maximum velocity? First, you have to brutally sever the psychological link between your income and your self-worth. Your paycheck is not a score of how important you are as a human being. It is simply a transaction for your labor. You must stop using your money to buy a personality. You are not a more interesting person just because you pay for a premium subscription service. Second, you must learn to actively hide your money from yourself. Your ego is basically a financial toddler. If it sees a pile of cash sitting in your account, it will immediately try to eat it or buy a shiny, useless object with it. When you get a raise, do not let that extra money touch your primary checking account. Route it directly into savings or investments before you even have a chance to look at it. If you do not see it, you cannot spend it. You must artificially enforce the poverty of your past to protect the wealth of your future. Pretend the raise never happened. Third, redefine what a reward actually is. We have been thoroughly brainwashed into thinking that celebrating a success requires swiping a piece of plastic. I got a promotion, so I will buy an expensive watch. I finished a big project, so I will go to a ridiculously overpriced restaurant. You need to find joy in the total absence of spending. The ultimate reward of making more money is not the ability to buy more physical things. The ultimate reward is the ability to buy peace of mind. It is the ability to look at a broken car, a leaky roof, or a medical bill and feel mildly annoyed instead of existentially terrified. Finally, embrace the aesthetic of the invisible rich. The truly wealthy people do not wear shirts with massive designer logos plastered across their chests. They do not need to signal their status, because their status is quietly resting in an index fund, compounding silently in the background while they sleep. They look like they could be your average tired office worker standing in line at the grocery store, but they sleep perfectly soundly at night because they know they are bulletproof. You must make a choice right now. You can continue to inflate your lifestyle with every extra dollar you earn. You can keep buying slightly better, slightly shinier versions of things you already own. You can remain the undisputed king of the high-earning peasants sitting proudly on a fragile throne of subscription services and credit card points, or you can stop. You can look at the next 20% raise and say, no thank you, I will keep living my perfectly adequate, slightly boring life, and I will keep the difference, because here is the cold deadpan truth. Earning more money does not make you rich. It just gives you the opportunity to fail at a much higher price point. If you cannot control the creep, your money will simply evaporate into the atmosphere, leaving behind nothing but a faintly pleasant smell of artisanal coffee and a massive crushing sense of regret. Wealth is what you do not see. It is the cars not purchased, the upgrades declined, the premium subscriptions ignored. True financial freedom is having the money to upgrade absolutely everything around you and calmly choosing to upgrade absolutely nothing.